democratize housing. We're gonna democratize construction. We're gonna democratize this. Shut up. Like, this doesn't work. Like, it's just so. All right, let's see here. That's great. 2025, good. That's great. Ford has incredible debt. Let me see that. I will tell you my thoughts on that. Take a look here. Okay, let's see here. Alibaba has announced that they are no longer selling mining equipment for Bitcoin. Wow. Robinhood, or not Robinhood. Well, okay, Robinhood's down 1.65, but I wanted to look at BTC here. A little bit of recovery there again on BTC. So this is the second time that we popped off that 41 8 figure. Oh, really? I'm gonna have to, like, press it over to a different... Man, Coinbase, y'all gotta be kidding. Whatever. Alright. I'll just do this crap later. This is so annoying. How... Coinbase, make my USDC turn into, dollars. Yeah, I'll try this. really don't care. I'm not gonna go buy Starbucks with my Ethereum anytime soon. I really just don't care. If I have I don't have the address. Whatever. I really don't care. I want to make money. All right. So let's see what's going on in stocks now that we're done with that. Okay. Then let's see here. Okay, we're done with pre-market. So let's go ahead and put that over here somewhere. And change percentage. Oh wow, XL fleet and high. Well, okay, XL was just there for like a temporary little moment. Go to USDC, click trade, select these. There is no. Okay, look, there is no trade. There is literally no trade button. It is just it is at this point. I mean, please correct me if I'm just blind. Okay, here it is. USD coin, deposit, withdraw. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm missing it somewhere. Do I click this little thing right here? Trades, transfers? No, that's just history. That's it. Okay, deposit or withdraw. If you click deposit, it's deposit from you get an address or you go to that. Withdraw, you get an address or Coinbase.com. Like, that's not what I want. I just want that to be dollars, and then I want to go buy ADA or Ethereum or something like that. But, oh, really? Mobile is limited? What the fuck? Like, that is like the most basic freaking function, Coinbase. Mobile is limited. It's not your fault. I'm not mad at you. I appreciate you saying that. I'm just like, that's a pisser. That's just dumb. So you have to use the normal app. Why would I do it on normal Coinbase? It's not on normal Coinbase. It's on Coinbase Pro. Oh my god. Actual market screen is accelerated. Well, that's complicated. Screw it. Nice. Poshmark. We haven't really seen Poshmark do much of anything okay, other than just like evaporate. I really want to know why. But social trends have not been very positive. Build-A-Bear, Win Resorts back to 86. Nice. let's see here. Trade desk, 376. Trade desk also kind of rotating down. How long have we been rotating down? I guess trade desk has been kind of popping. It's been okay the last we heard the roar of the cat. There you go. That was the Coinbase and all in with Coinbase on HUD 8 mining. Poll. Oh, there we go. Okay, poll. Yes, yes, no. Okay, I did it. Somebody says I'm short upfront instead. Oh god. If HUD 8 goes up, Coinbase goes up. Yeah, try that theory over the last You will not be happy. many, if it's just like 4, nobody cares. That's the thing. Like, everybody can do pay in 4. PayPal does pay in 4. Everybody does pay in 4. Pay in 4, big deal. But this is interesting because the other payment processors everybody's going to be doing 4 payments. Not worried about that at all. Oh, end face rotating. Oh, wait. Okay, I thought it was gonna come up. Come on, let's get a little bit more on this. Alright, so not worried about that with the firm. Toast is recovering. Toast is starting to recover. Matter and it goes down. It's up and it goes down. It's old news. All right. Let's see. what you're gonna do to us? Yeah, that's exactly what it's gonna do to us. It's gonna do us like that. It's unreal. Boring. Okay, what else? Spy, down 1%. I'm trying to get these shirts. See, look what I wore. You like this shirt? Come on. I'm working on it here. The spy is falling. Let me see if I can get you a link really quick to the darn thing. Because, it's supposed to be on the little merchant shelf down below, but it's not. And, I'll pull it. In the meantime, remember to get a free stock worth all the way up to $7. It's all rotating back down again. Look at this. Yeah. Look, we're going back down, folks. We're going for round 2. We're going for round 2. Here we go. Buckle up. Palantir's down even more. Here we go. It's getting worse. Autodesk. This is another one I'm watching too, along with Hippo. But I've got a position established in Hippo, so I'm good with that. Autodesk. I'm really trying to grow my position in a firm and end phase right now. I'd like
Ancient
the firm,
people who
honestly, to go
settled
back to
here
my
were
hometown,
drawn to
but
the mountain
sometimes
shrine.
I say these things like I'd love for it to go super does. So I have to be careful about that too.
But they didn't fully understand its potential.
Just add like crazy weird stuff.
Hana and I found a way to focus the scattered energy of the mountain.
Look at Palantir is just evaporating. Like this is great.
I thought it would last for generations. But the village heart started to fade.
Got it right here.
This was just the beginning of our problems.
Something like that. That's where I had it. Now it's at 149.
Something was wrong.
That's too soon.
Crops failed
Somebody
and
here
poison
says under
covered the
100
land.
for a farm. Yeah, look, if you feel like you have too much hippo and you want to
Hana left to search for food and supplies to save our village. I watched her go that morning knowing I would never leave our home without her. Weeks turned to months,
everything is
and
kinda
she did not
continuous.
return.
So look at these spark lines here. It's getting worse.
We tried everything to help restore
All
balance,
down,
but nothing worked.
Really no rush, because look, things are just
I
going.
knew our home was lost,
Look at Tesla.
but I couldn't leave Hana behind. I had to help her find her way back. So, I started to build.
Still growing. Getting larger.
Paul!
Let's talk. Oil dropping is oil prices. Nancy Pelosi. Really? Alright, so, fourth building, project will be called Blue Oval City. It costs about 5.6 bill. I mean, that's cool. I'd love to go there. Yeah, like, it's obviously the numbers are so big. They are smart.
I could not accept what I knew in my heart to be true.
2025 headline: Ford takes massive loss selling ice.
Somehow I felt leaving would make me forget her.
Jesus, my
The life we shared would slip away.
It is too slow compared to Tesla. Yeah.
That fear blinded me,
Oh my gosh, you all are bad.
and I
Ford
tore
goes
apart
bankrupt after selling
everything we
factories and
created.
firing now useless staff from pennies.
I've lost someone too, and the thought of forgetting them scares
Oh
me.
man.
But I've met Hana, and I know your love is strong.
What is
Even
it?
after
Tesla
all
isn't
these
acting like
years,
it
what you built
Something's
together
going
is
on.
still a part of the land.
Ooh.
Your bond will
Stock
never
in
be
Tesla
broken.
didn't act like shares of a fast growing stocks fell, but Tesla continued its upward march, behaving like a traditional auto company. What gives? That is an interesting article here. Tesla is a valuable traditional auto maker. It struggles with range ride. But don't worry, you got your day today. Yeah, they just made an observation. They didn't really provide a conclusion here. Boring. Okay. AMD CEO sees chip shortage ending in 2022. What part? 20 new factories coming online this year, and similar number expected next year. Where's the bottom line? That's it? They just said next year? Okay. We'll begin to ease. Okay, see, words matter. Yeah. October 18th, pardon, but yeah, we saw that. 18th, I'm running out of money there. Carrier Global as a buy the dipper. I have no idea what that is. Second half, Rob H. I don't think it's that. Carrier dipper. I don't know what that is. Are you talking about carrier? Oh, you mean like the stock carrier dipping? Is JPow up? I only see Toomey up right now. Sell a put on EXPI. Oh, Matterport. My husband is a general manager for GM, 30 years, and I can tell you they had better EV news than Ford, but didn't spike 5% face bump. Yeah. No, I know the HVAC company here. It's down 1%. Oh, it's been falling though, huh? Yeah, look at that, falling along with the real estate industry here. All right, what are they talking about here? Let's see here.
And 8. Remember, we were having a surge.
They're not really showing Powell or Yellen yet, so we're not quite there yet. We might end up watching that. We'll see here. They're like I said, they're not up yet. All right, let's see here. Did you see the Cadillac EV sold out here? No, but it also doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't be shocked if they had that. Oil prices rise above $80 for the first time in 3 years. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, Yellen's talking now. Let's see.
Debt will expand in terms of issue.
Why are they not covering them? Hold on. I will get to the bottom of that. Hold on a sec. It's Yellen's turn to talk. That means get the other guy off the TV. Come on. Oh my gosh. One of these days, we'll be able to actually get Yellen on TV. Is this it? Come on. Nope, that's the House of Reps. That's boring. Okay. Oh, in any minute now, we'll get to Yellen since CNBC doesn't want to play it. U.S. Senate. That looks promising. No, that's not. Are you serious? Oh, this must be it. No, covering Powell. hear a word of that. Hold on a second here. Why is it so quiet? No, that feed sucks. Okay, I'll try YouTube. One sec. Alright, we'll get it. Hold on. There we go. This should work. Can't get it. Okay, hold on. Let me just play here for a moment. Give me a sec.
This is the impact that works through the real economy of these inflationary pressures, of supply chain pressures. So hold your hat, appreciate. Keep your hands up. Sorry. Wait for some volatility.
And yeah, 30 years is not transitory. And I'm glad to sit here that you're going to live to be 112.
I just want to be as old as quarterback. That's all I do.
Well, staying with the market.
It's just their opening statements right now.
Texas chief economist of the Americas, former special assistant to President Trump, and Onwiti Bahazuna, Columbia Threadneedle Investments senior portfolio manager and head of multi-asset strategy. Good morning to you both. Joe, I'll start with you. I'm going to ask you the same question I just asked Richard Fisher. Why do you think
All right, I cannot seem to get that going on this. So I'm going to try one more trick here. I will go to a different one. Yeah, because I do want to see what Yellen is saying right now. It's just their opening remarks. So let's try this one.
I think many of us know that
Got it.
the country could run up against unforeseen challenges, and we want to be able to devote resources where and when they saw fit. I want to note that this flexibility is paying off now, especially with the spread of the Delta variant. Harris County, Texas, for instance, has used this funding to boost its immunization rate, offering $100 to each person who gets their first vaccine dose. For the relief dollars not yet out the door, Treasury is doing everything it can to expedite their delivery. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program is one example. Prior to the pandemic, there was essentially no national infrastructure to get money from government pockets to renters and landlords. Building that infrastructure has been a massive undertaking for states, localities, and tribes. The program is scaling up quickly, with 1.4 million payments made to help struggling renters keep a roof over their heads. Still, too much of the money remains bottlenecked at the state and local levels. That's why our Treasury team has worked to eliminate every piece of red tape possible in order to ensure more payments can get to renters and landlords. But
Finally,
states and
the rent relief has been a disaster in this country.
speed up distribution of rental assistance funds. I'll end my remarks there, except to say this. It is imperative that Congress address the debt limit. If not, our current estimate is that Treasury will likely exhaust its extraordinary measures by October 18th. At that point, we expect Treasury would be left with very limited resources that would be depleted quickly. America would default for the first time in history. The full faith and credit of the United States would be impaired, and our country would likely face a financial crisis and economic recession as a result. We must address this issue to honor commitments made by this and prior Congresses, including those made to address the health and economic impact of the pandemic. It's necessary to avert a catastrophic event for our economy. Senators, the debt ceiling has been raised and suspended 78 times since 1960, almost always on a bipartisan basis. My hope is that we can work together to do so again and to build a stronger American economy for future generations. Thank you, and I'm pleased to take your questions.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Chair Powell, you recognize. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Chairman Brown, Ranking Member Toomey, and other members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss the measures we have taken to address the hardship brought by the pandemic. Since we last met, the economy has continued to strengthen. Real GDP rose at a robust pace in the first half of the year, and growth is widely expected to continue at a strong pace in the second half. The sectors most adversely affected by the pandemic have improved in recent months, but the rise in COVID-19 cases has slowed their recovery. Household spending rose at an especially rapid pace over the first half of the year, but flattened out in July and August as spending softened in COVID-sensitive sectors. Additionally, in some industries, near-term supply constraints are restraining activity. As with overall economic activity, conditions in the labor market have continued to improve. Demand for labor is very strong, and job gains averaged 750,000 per month over the past 3 months. In August, however, gains slowed markedly, with the slowdown concentrated in sectors most sensitive to the pandemic. The unemployment rate was 5.2% in August, and this figure understates the shortfall in employment, particularly as participation in the labor market has not moved up from the low rates that have prevailed for most of the past year. Factors related to the pandemic appear to be weighing on employment growth. These factors should diminish as containing the virus. The downturn has not fallen equally on all Americans, and those least able to shoulder the burden have been hardest hit. In particular, despite progress, joblessness continues to fall disproportionately on lower wage workers in the service sector and on African Americans and Hispanics. Inflation is elevated and will likely remain so in coming months before moderating. As the economy continues to reopen, we are seeing upward pressure on prices, particularly due to supply bottlenecks in some sectors. These effects have been larger and longer lasting than anticipated, but they will abate, and as they do, inflation is expected to drop back toward our longer run 2% goal. The process of the reopening of the economy is unprecedented. As it continues, bottlenecks, hiring difficulties, and other constraints could again prove to be greater and more enduring than anticipated, posing upside risks to inflation. If sustained higher inflation were to become a serious concern, we would certainly respond and use our tools to ensure levels that are consistent with our goal. The path of the economy continues to depend on the course of the virus, and risks to the outlook remain. The Delta variant has led to a surge in cases, causing human suffering and slowing the recovery. Continued progress on vaccinations would support a return to more normal economic conditions. The Fed's policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices, along with our responsibilities to promote the stability of the financial system. In response to the crisis, we took broad and forceful measures to support the flow of credit and to promote the stability of the financial system. Our actions taken together helped unlock more than $2 trillion to support businesses large and small, nonprofits, state and local governments, organizations from shuttering and put it in a position to keep workers on and hire them back as the recovery continues. These programs have served as a backstop to credit markets and helped facilitate the flow of credit in private sectors. We have deployed them to unprecedented extent. Our emergency lending tools, Treasury,
something we've always done bipartisanly, including right after the Republicans passed their deficit-busting corporate tax giveaway via reconciliation. Keep rates if you would. What would be the impact on our economy if they blocked all efforts to raise the debt ceiling?
Is your mic on? Come on, Jalen. There's no way your mic is on.
Event in American history. It would be disastrous for the American economy, for global financial markets, and for millions of families and workers whose financial security would be jeopardized by delayed payments. For example, nearly 50 million seniors would or could stop receiving Social Security payments or see them delayed. Our troops would not get enough defense income. 30 million families who rely on the child tax credit would not receive the monthly payment on time. Unemployment would surely rise, and as we saw in 2011, even coming very close to the deadline without raising the debt ceiling can undermine the confidence of financial markets in the creditworthiness of the United States. It led to a debt downgrade and soaring interest rates, which ends up raising payments on mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards.
Thank you. That you made clear that the debt ceiling is about money we've already spent, like the CARES Act, that Republicans in Congress voted for and President Trump signed into law. And now they want to run out and pay the bill. We know it's just wrong. They know it's just wrong. Chair Powell, the most recent jobs report saw, as you point out, saw unemployment decreasing generally, but it also showed a continued racial unemployment gap, and the unemployment is rising for Black members. You committed an erring on the side of lower unemployment and a more competitive labor market. Thank you for that. Last week, you announced that policy tightening will begin in November with tapering, that interest rate targets will increase next year. Why take away economic support just when workers are getting back on their feet and starting to see glimmers of real wage growth, and when the recovery has failed to reach so many Black workers?
Right now, we're buying $120 billion worth of securities every month. And all of those purchases add to accommodation. They're increasing accommodation. And we had set a test for beginning to taper those purchases of substantial further progress towards our statutory goals. We haven't met that yet, but as I mentioned, I think we've all but met it on the path that we're looking at. We would continue to add accommodation, not subtract it, until well into the middle of next year. And we think that's appropriate given the strength of the economy. The test for raising interest rates is substantially higher, and we want to see, just as you indicated at the beginning, we want to see a labor market that you both indicated. A labor market that's very strong.
That's good emphasis, by the way. The test is substantially higher.
There.
With emphasis on substantially.
And the conservative in the center said the expansion of child tax credit would result in billions of dollars in spending, hundreds of thousands of jobs in local communities, particularly rural communities. We know raising a child is work, and most of the parents getting CTC are really doing two jobs at home and in the paid labor force. So set the record straight briefly, if you would. Does the expanded child tax credit, particularly a fully fundable child tax credit, does it increase labor force participation and boost local economies?
I believe that it does. I think the evidence shows that very strongly, that it helps parents take care of their children. As I mentioned in my opening statement, we've seen that hunger, the number of families that don't feel their children don't have enough to eat, dropped substantially after the first round of payments. We see that parents are using the CTC payments to pay for basic needs, including food and clothing. And of course, it can be used for childcare and provide the kind of support that enables parents to take jobs.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you for the way that you and Treasury have gotten those checks out on starting in July. Thank you for that. Last question. Chair Powell, the New York Times reported that for you. 2 out of 417 economists employed by the Board of Governors, 2 out of 417 are black. I appreciate you made the diversity at the Fed a priority. I agree with what you said in that article. Institutions that focus on diversity and do it well are the successful institutions in our society. Cutting it even closer over its 108-year history, no black woman has ever served as a Board of Governors, not one, ever. You think the Board of Governors would be a more successful institution if a black woman had a voice, black women had a voice in the seat at the table? Should we make that a priority?
Get it on. Oh man.
I would strongly agree that we want everybody's voice heard around the table, and that would certainly include black women. And we of course have no role in the selection process, but certainly welcome it.
Secretary Yellen, do you agree with that? It's time we had a black woman on the Board of Governors.
I do. I think diversity is extremely important, and that would certainly be very welcome if she could.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by just stating the obvious. If the government goes on a spending binge, that will certainly require more borrowing to pay for all that spending. Our Democrats have a spending binge underway. They are threatening to dramatically expand that. And if they get their way, that will certainly necessarily involve more borrowing than we would otherwise need. The Democrats have chosen to ignore our warnings about this excessive spending, but they want us to vote to raise the debt ceiling in order to permit the massive spending increases that they're planning. Just remind everyone, just as the Democrats have the procedural ability to pass this spending on their own, as they intend to, they have the exact same procedural ability to raise the debt ceiling on their own, which they inevitably will have to end up doing. Mr. Powell, earlier this year, there were certainly sectors of our economy, especially the price-sensitive, the sectors sensitive to reopening, experienced pretty dramatic but largely temporary price spikes. It seems to me now we're seeing a broader, more troubling kind of inflation. Input prices are soaring across the board. Raw materials, electrical components, energy, and consumer expectations seem to have internalized this. The New York Fed's most recent survey shows that they expect 5.2% inflation over the coming year. Despite this and all the growth that we've talked about, as you point out, the Fed is still buying $120 billion in securities every month. And I guess my question is, doesn't the inflation we're seeing now seem broader and more structural in nature than the brief blip we saw, say, used car prices earlier this year?
Good question.
It lifts my heart to know that
Yes, I think it's
together
fair to
again.
say that it is. Mainly what we've seen is that the supply side restrictions that are so much at the heart of the inflation we're
Adira
seeing
knew she was
have not
powerless to
only
stop
not
the
gotten
poison,
better, they've actually,
but she never
in
gave
some
up
cases,
hope
gotten
that Anna
worse.
would find her way home.
Look at the car companies, look at the ships docked or, with their anchors down outside of Los Angeles, and this is really a mismatch between demand and supply, and we need those supply blockages to alleviate, to abate, before inflation can come down. We do believe that it will, but however, if you look at measured inflation and what's contributing to it, most of it is still a very small
I saw something in Jira's
category
memories.
of items.
But it's considerably
kind of
broader than
creature.
it was. And I would also point out, and I
It
know you're
seemed to
aware
be
of this,
connected to the troubles in the
but the
village.
Fed's projections
Was
of
there no
inflation
way to
have
drive it out?
consistently been off. They've
You
consistently
are
been
not
low.
the first to
And at
ask
some
these
point, I think
questions.
we need to acknowledge that
Our
this
leader,
is not playing
Toshi,
out the way
struggled
I
to
think the
accept
Fed
the
had
will.
hoped. Let me
Toshi
shift
loved
the
this
topic to
place,
central bank digital
and it
currency.
broke him to see it
So
wither
I'm
away.
increasingly intrigued
The
by the
leader of your
opportunities
village.
that a properly
I've seen
designed
this spirit on
central
my
bank
journey.
digital currency could provide to the U.S. To name a few: instant zero-cost
He's at the heart of the
payments,
corruption that
interoperability,
blocks the path to the
programmability
mountain
with
shrine.
smart contracts,
He will
international
not move
competitiveness
on
all come to
quietly.
mind. But getting
Make
the
sure
design
you are prepared
correct, getting it right
before
is essential.
confronting this
For
final
instance,
spirit. Look for
privacy of
Toshi in the
Americans has to be
village leader
respected.
hall,
We should
along the
design
path to
a
the
central
mountain
bank
shrine.
digital dollar that allows the government to spy on Americans' every transaction. And the Fed is certainly not suited to be a retail bank, and so we certainly shouldn't try to turn it into one. In my view, privately issued digital currencies should be able to coexist with a digital dollar if we go down that road. And private sector developers certainly should be able to innovate either on or in a interoperable fashion with a digital dollar. So I'm not asking you to opine on any of these things, but it seems to me the decision about whether or not to go down this road is transformational, and there are very, very important and sensitive design issues that would have to be resolved. So I think that ought to be done in a transparent process with political accountability, which is to say with congressional input. Could you comment on how important you think it is to have congressional authorization if we're going to go down the road of a digital dollar?
I'd be glad to. And by the way, I agree. This is critical work that we want to take forward. So the laws that were, the relevant parts of our law were written long before digital financing was a thing. And a central bank digital currency could take many forms. It is possible that under some forms you'd be able to make an argument that it would be authorized under current law. But I think this is such a fundamental issue. It would be ideal if this were to be a product of broad consultation and ultimately authorizing legislation from Congress.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, I want to talk about the tax agreement. As you know, Pillar 1 will fundamentally rewrite how profits are allocated among countries and will cede U.S. taxing rights to foreign jurisdictions to some degree. Well, current bilateral treaties would need to be modified to implement this reallocation. And obviously, this requires a treaty to implement, right? In fact, the international agreement itself, I think it acknowledges that by referring to a multilateral instrument, layman's terms, that's a treaty. And that'll be necessary for this implementation. So do you acknowledge that Pillar 1 requires a treaty and therefore a Senate ratification in order to implement it?
I believe there are in which Congress could implement it, but certainly ratification of a treaty would be one way in which Congress could authorize, and certainly Congress has to authorize the transfer of taxing rights that's contemplated in Pillar 1.
Well, I'll finish, Mr. Chairman, but I want to stress that we have for many, many decades had bilateral tax treaties that govern the amounts and the manner by which foreign governments can tax American companies. Changing those treaties requires ratification in the Senate. There's no way around that I can see.
Thank you, Senator Tiffany. Senator Tester is recognized on his office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to welcome both Chairman Powell and Secretary Yellen. This first question is to you, Secretary Yellen. Through the American Rescue Plan, I have fought for and gotten targeted relief for local communities.
We can actually jump and fast forward a little bit because the questions are more important, so I'm going to do that because it catches us up about 30 seconds live. Go jump on over.
From the receiving the funds in 2 tranches and using.
See, he's kind of still talking anyway. There we go. Perfect. Nailed it. You can't get it on. Oh my. Oh. Come on.
Or
Maybe it's broken. Unexpected sticks.
that can be done now. There's absolutely no need to wait.
Congress.
You have come far, Spirit Guide.
Right now, no need to wait because your mic was on.
But what is it that you truly
Yes, that's
seek?
right.
Thank you. Do they need your approval? Rest of the funds for, and to clarify, states with split payments.
What are you hiding? Why are you here?
That's correct, and they can plan.
I can feel your true intent. You pretend to care for these spirits, but really, you only serve yourself. You cannot hide your weakness from me.
It is my understanding that the process for these funds has worked just as Congress laid them out, and it's been pretty predictable. Would you say that is correct?
Yes, I think it is correct.
Okay. And then can you talk to me about the impact that you're seeing in the communities as program funds through the coronavirus state and local fiscal relief fund are getting up and running?
Well, I think we're already seeing a significant impact of these funds. Some of it is being used for immediate pandemic response, vaccination efforts, helping unemployed workers, supporting small businesses.
Matterport's back under 20 for what it's worth.
To address longer-term needs, including broadband infrastructure, water and sewer, and so these funds can serve a variety of needs and are doing so.
Okay. Secretary Yellen, I want you to respond to something the ranking member said, and I think he knows better, but he said that Democrats want the Republicans to expand the debt limit so that they can spend money. Is it not true that the debt limit is
What the heck was that?
because of money that is already spent? That it would be similar to you going down to a restaurant, ordering a steak dinner, paying for it on your credit card, and when the credit card comes back, you would say, nope, I'm not paying. Isn't that similar to what we're talking about with the debt limit?
That is absolutely correct. It has nothing to do with future programs of payments. It is entirely about being what has been incurred by this Congress and previous Congresses, and it's about making good on past commitments, as you said, paying on credit card bill.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree.
Okay, Senator Shelby from Alabama's ready. Thank you. Welcome, both of you. Secretary, Madam Secretary, Chairman Powell. Chairman Powell, I'll direct my first question to you. The Phillips curve is an economic concept that represents an inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. Historically, it's been utilized to understand the relationship between unemployment and inflation.
You've traveled a
in
great
relation to the
distance.
Federal Reserve's dual
Crossing
mandate
over is no
of price
easy
stability
task.
and maximum employment.
Toshi's
You're
spirit
very
was
aware of
different,
this, Madam
stronger than
Chairman.
the others.
Some economists question
He was able to
the
push me
current
from his
validity of this
memories.
concept as the connection
Toshi
between
wields
inflation
an
and
untamed
unemployment
power,
has seemed
Yep.
to grow weaker
but
in
that's
recent
not
years.
why
broken.
it's there.
Chairman Powell, is the Phillips curve
Corrupt
still a
spirits
valid
feed on the
economic
conflicts
model of
within
move,
ourselves.
and have you observed any notable strengthening in the relationship
My
between
father told me
unemployment
stories of the
Bitcoin
sacred
falling, by the way.
mountain tree and its
Pandemic.
connection to the spirit realm.
Senator, if you go back to the high
After I
inflation area
lost
that
him,
we both recall,
I set out to
there was a
find the
very
shrine,
close relationship, a
hoping it would
one-for-one
make
kind of
me a better
relationship,
spirit
close
guide.
to it between unemployment and inflation.
I've always
That is no
known
longer
he
the
was
case.
gone.
There is still a relationship,
But I thought if I
we
could
say the
help
Phillips
enough
curve is very
spirits
flat,
find
but it's
peace,
not completely flat. So there
he
is
would see
a
me
relatively
and be
modest
proud.
relationship. The slope of the line is 7
Many
degrees or
spirit
something, so
guides
very
have come
flat.
before
Is
you,
there any change that we
but
observe
they
in the
have
near
all
term?
failed.
To get to your last question, not
Your
at this
father
point.
would be proud.
Do you
who
watch the
you've
Phillips
become.
curve?
Well, we do, but if you saw, we had 3.5% unemployment and very modest inflation for a couple of years before the pandemic. So it's really not a top of mind concern. The inflation that we're having is, but it's really not related to the Phillips curve.
Toshi
Would you
could
say
not
that
accept the
Phillips
fate
curve
of our village.
concept is not valid right
He
now?
destroyed a sacred creature
It's not particularly binding
and
right
broke
now.
the natural
Inflation is
cycle
high
of the
and
land.
the unemployment rate is high, so it's not really the binding constraint.
It seems
I'll direct
Toshi
this question to the Secretary.
has hidden
The
his
step-up
relics
basis, Madam
in the
Secretary,
spirit realm.
is a tax provision that allows for a beneficiary to adjust the basis of an asset to its current value rather than its value when originally purchased.
You will need to cross
This
over
provision
to search
allows
for them.
for beneficiaries to avoid paying high taxes on assets that have increased over time, largely due to inflation. President
Look for
Biden's
gateways in the
American Families
village.
Plan
Dash
includes a
through them.
proposal to eliminate the step-up basis. A lot of people believe that such a change would result in a costly tax increase on family-owned businesses, particularly
particularly on farms and ranches. According to a study by the Texas A&M Agriculture and Food Policy Center, 98% of the farms in the 30-state database were being impacted by the Biden administration proposal. That study calculates that the average additional tax liability per farm to be over